4.NBT.2, and this is the first part of that goal, and it is writing numbers in a variety or different ways. The first way that we're going to talk about is called expanded form, and that's when you take a large number and you break it down by each of the place values, and you then write a plus sign in between each of those place values, and it makes the number become expanded or larger as far as the space it takes up. So right here is 735,692, and we broke it down to 700,000 plus 30,000 plus 5,000 plus 600 plus 90 plus 2. The next way is word form, and basically word form is just writing exactly how you would read the number. So you would read this number 2,307,419. The trick is learning how to say the number correctly. A lot of times kids get mixed up right here on this part of the thousands. So what I will tell them is to cover up the millions if there is any, or cover up the ones unit if there's any of those, and basically just read the number 307, and then you say 1,000. So that represents the thousands place. That's also where the comma would go. The last way to represent numbers is the standard or the number form way. And this is just usually how you see a regular number, just like these numbers here are examples. What we're going to do now is just give these a little practice. So for the first one here, we're going to write it in expanded form, which is the first way we showed it in our notebook. So we're going to break it down by place value. I can see here that the biggest number here is in the tens, thousands place value, so I know this is my biggest number, and I'm going to break it down. So this is worth, the value of this 4 is 40,000 because it's 4 10,000s. Then I'm going to go to the next one, which is the 6, and it's in the thousands place. Then I'm going to go to the next one, which is the 3, which is in the hundreds place, and the 8 in the tens place, and the 6 ones. Next, we're going to do it in word form. So we need to say it correctly first before we can write it correctly. 46,386. So I'm going to do 46,386. And notice that we don't write the word and. You can put your comma here after the thousands place like you would in the real number as well. You do not need to write the word and. Okay, the last one is going to be the way it normally is, which is already shown. So 3 was the standard or number form, and that would be the 46,386. Okay, this one right here is a little bit trickier because they have some zeros in the place values. So you just got to be really careful that you're getting this correct. One way we're going to do it is we see we have the 3 in the hundreds place value, so I know that's 300,000. There is nothing in the 10,000s place value, so I can just skip right over it and go on to the 1,000s place value. So plus 4,000s. There's nothing in the hundreds place value. That's okay. I'm going to skip it and go right to the tens place, which is going to be 50. And then of course I have 7 ones. Okay, next is going to be the word form of this. So we have to say it correctly. 304,057. So we're going to write 300. Sorry, it's a little messy. 4,057. It is hard to write and hold the camera at the same time. So there we have it, 304,000 and then 57. And again, I don't use the word and, I just put a little comma after the word thousand. Now, if we had to take this number, which would have been in the word form, and put it back into this number form with these zeros missing, it gets a little tricky. So the strategy I tell you to do is when you read the number 304,000, I know I'm going to need 100,000's place value, so I just go ahead and I draw these little lines for myself, so I know that it's going to be 304,000. So I know I need the 100,000s place value. So I'm going to put the 3 in the 100,000s place. It says 304,000, so 4 is going to go in the 1,000s place. And then I see 57. So I know 50, the 5 would go in the tens place, the 7 would go in the ones. And now I have holes left, and of course what go in the holes? The zeros. So I can then go back in and put my zeros. That's a strategy for doing these tricky ones that have the zeros in them when you're going from the word form to the number form. And of course those are the ones that they will ask you because they're a little bit trickier. Of course, because we're in 4th grade, we're not going to get very many of those simple problems. Almost every one of our math skills will be put into a word problem for you to solve. So here's a couple word problems for NBT2 and how I would suggest you go about solving them. So let's take a look at the first one. There are 19,805 people at a concert. What is the number in expanded form? Well, the first thing I need to do is just write the number out for myself. So I see it says 19,000. So I know that that will be a place in the 10,000s place and the 1,000s place, and then of course the place values behind it. So if I was to write the number down, it would be 19,805 people at the concert. So I know that's going to be my number. Once I have that number written down, then I can look for the expanded version of it. So if I'm going to break this number down, first it's going to be 10,000 plus 9,000 plus 800 plus 5. So I can look at my choices. Now A has the 10,000 and the 9,000, but then they went to 85. So I know that one would be wrong. So I would cross that one off. The next one is 10,000 and then the 9,000. Those are two correct. And then I see the 800 and the 5. So I know that that one is correct. I'm going to check the others just to make sure. C is wrong because you cannot leave 19,000 altogether. You need to break that down into the 10,000 and the 9,000. So that one would be wrong. The next one is 10,000, 9,000, and then they have 800. But instead of 5, they say 50. So that's where they fooled, or they're trying to fool you. So we'll cross that one off, and that confirms that the correct answer is B. The next problem is, a state university has 20,252 students. What is the number expressed in expanded form? Okay, so I can tell by looking at this one is one that they're going to try to trick you with because there's a 0 in the place value. So I know that I don't need to have anything in the 1,000s place because it's just two 10,000s, which gives me 20,000. So this one would break down to 20,000 plus 200 plus 50 plus 2. And I can see the answer right there for A. Next one down here, there are 147,725 people at the festival. What is the number in word form? So you're just going to need to go through each one of these and make sure they're correct. 147,725. That one looks right to me. I'm going to check the rest. 147, then they did not say thousands. 725, so that one would be wrong because they missed the word. 147,025, there they forgot the 7 in the 700s place. 140,000, so then they forgot the 7 for 47,000, so that one's wrong. So then I know that my best choice and my right answer is A. And the last one, the attendance at the museum this week was 100,000 plus 20,000 plus 200 plus 30 plus 9. What is the number in word form? So the best way to approach these is that to look for the largest place value. So I see they have 100,000, so I know I can make myself a little chart right below it where I'm going to have 100,000. And then I go back in and I plug the numbers into the right place. So 1 in the 100,000s place, 2 in the 10,000s place, 2 in the 200s place, 3 in the tens place, and 9 in the ones. And now I see that I have a hole here, which I'm going to fill with the 0. So now I have the number written out. I'm going to be better able to read it and then find the word form. So this number is 120,239. So I'm going to look for my best choice here. 122, that's not going to be right, so that would be wrong. 12200, that doesn't even make sense, cross that off. 122,000, nope, I want that 2 in. 120,000, yes, that matches. 239, 239. Perfect. That way I know I got it right. The next part of NBT2 is comparing numbers. We're comparing numbers with little signs that mean less than, greater than, and equal to, also known as the alligator. What you're going to do when you have these two big numbers to figure out which one is larger, you start by stacking them up. When you stack them up, put one on top of the other, it's very easy to see right off the bat which one is larger, because you start at the larger place value and you check to see which one has the bigger number in it. Circle the place value where you find that, and that will help you know that this top one is larger than the bottom one, because 6 is more than 2. You can also do a finger check where you start with your finger and you start looking at each number and the largest place value. So in these two numbers, the largest place value is 10 in the 10,000s. So we want to start there. Both of them have a 4 in the 10,000s. Then I move into the 1,000s place. One of them has a 6 and the other has a 2. So then I know that 6,000s is greater than 2,000. When I do that, I'm going to then put the alligator to eat the larger number, which is like this, have the mouth open at the larger number. Okay, for more practice, we've written it out here. So we have two numbers we're working with here, 75,876 and 75,786. You can stack them up, and when you do that, you see they both have a 7, they both have a 5, and then you get to the hundreds place value and you say, aha, I see that this one now is the largest because it has an 8 hundreds instead of 7 hundreds. And so I know the alligator will want to eat that one, and I can find it up here. Another trick, if you have trouble with the greater than and less than sign, is to make 2 dots next to the side of the number that has the biggest number. Put 2 dots there and 1 dot next to the small number, and then when you connect them like this, you'll always make the right alligator. The next part of 4.NBT.2 is ordering numbers, which just means putting them in order. You're either going to need to put them in order from the greatest to the least, or the least to the greatest. And you just have to read the directions really carefully to make sure you're doing that the right way. That's how kids get these wrong, is just by simply putting them in the wrong order. The strategy for doing this is, again, you're going to start looking at the numbers, and we're working with these numbers right here. Start looking at them in the greatest place value. So I see that these all start with 10,000s. So we're going to check to see if any of them have a number that's larger than the others, and that will tell us our biggest number. They've stacked them up here. This makes it really easy to see. So definitely if you do this, you certainly will not be able to get anything wrong. And then what you do down here, is I've also written them out down here, is you start with the biggest one, and I see my directions say to order the numbers, and it's really important if you underline from least to greatest, so that way you won't forget. Like I said, that's the way most kids get them wrong. So I'm going to look for, I always start with the biggest number, no matter if it's supposed to be from greatest to least or least to greatest. So this one I know it's supposed to be, my smallest number will come first, and my larger number will go last. And when I look down at these numbers real quick, I see 32,000 is the biggest. So I'm going to put it in the last spot because I know that it is the greatest. And then I put a little check mark over the number